but this one is showing less sign of rotation than this one. So let's take a look at both of these real quick. Sarah, let's do the velocity circle on both of those. So you see here near Sunbury, there's where that rotation is happening right there. With a quick radar update, it's continuing to move toward parts of Licking County. So it is south of Johnstown and Utica. You notice in Newark, that particular storm not generating the same kind of rotation. It's a big thunderstorm, likely to have some pretty good hail, but at the moment, that one is not generating the kind of rotation that this one is, and it's not as much of a concern. It is still a big storm and you can still get some damage from it, but this storm moving to the southeast of Sunbury is really the one to keep an eye on. You're gonna go street level on that?
Yes, and then we'll put
There's
a time on this for you all too as well.
So here's 6:05 at 37. Croton right out here. This is headed toward the east and the rotation is right there and it is making its way south of Croton as we speak. That is going to be headed off toward the southeast at about 40 miles per hour. So if we back that out a little bit, let's look at what's in the path of this. Does that put it on a path directly toward... Well, maybe not eventually.
It's more like Utica.
Yeah, it's more coming this direction in this particular case. But it's going to make its way over toward 62 by the time we get into the next 30 minutes or so. So as it comes through. So not a warning for Knox County, but you still have the very heavy rain and the potential for some hail. And as this continues to move into Licking County, you're going to find more of that is associated with some of that rotation. So into Croton in a matter of moments, getting down into Utica by 9:50. You're on the north side of it, but still in that potential area. Newark, 9:57. And then by 10 o'clock, it's into Hickman Township. So this is going to be at least until 9:45 for this particular warning. Good news is that on a much broader, larger scale, a lot of these storms are starting to weaken, which may give us a better opportunity for these to kind of fall apart over the next hour and a half. What do you got out here in Urbana?
That's what I was going to mention, that even though Columbus, we're okay, I would warn if you live north of Columbus, watching this cell over near Champaign County and Miami County, this is now, remember it was severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado tag possible, meaning that the cell had history of producing rotation, but the signature itself for a moment wasn't really there, wasn't tight. Well, now it is, and that's why the National Weather Service bumped it up to a tornado warning. This is going to be for 10 p.m. This is all tracking off to the east. So on that projected course, if it continues to hold, places like Plain City, potentially Dublin, Westerville, this will be heading into your direction. So we'll be watching that one very closely as it gets closer into the viewing area. But if you live in Plain City, Dublin, and Westerville, while you may just hear some rumbles of thunder to your north, may see some lightning to your north, you're not out of the woods just yet. We're under that tornado watch until midnight. So just before you head to bed, make sure your phone is on volume high. It's right by you.
Charged it up so it's ready to go. Can you pop up the tornado warning, the tornado watch real quick?
Yes.
Let's take a look at where that is because this covers a lot of central Ohio. There are several warnings out there at the moment, not the least of which is the one out here in Champaign County, as well as the one that stretches from Delaware all the way into the eastern end of Licking County. But the rest of the area is under a tornado watch, and that has been expanded now into eastern Ohio. So this now includes Coshocton, Cambridge, Caldwell, Zanesville, down into McConnellsville and New Lex. All of this area is now under a tornado watch. This one lasts until 1 o'clock in the morning. So the one that's for Columbus and the metro area is until midnight. Eastern Ohio, this one lasts until 1 o'clock in the morning. So there will still be some strong storms in eastern Ohio. Even once this clears the middle of the state and gets east of the I-71 corridor, you're still going to have these in eastern Ohio for quite a while. So heads up Muskingum County, you're probably next in line for a warning. So here's the warning at the moment. This is for parts of Delaware County. This part will probably be allowed to expire shortly, but then what's in Licking County will actually be in effect until 10:15 tonight. That does include Johnstown. It includes Utica, Newark, Granville. Heath is kind of on the edge of that, but it is still going to be some very strong weather coming through your neck of the woods. St. Louisville is kind of next in line for this. So we've been watching some rotation in eastern Delaware County as it moves toward Johnstown, and that is still holding together. At the moment, this is all still radar indicated, but what we're looking at here is, this is the Columbus radar. So if you've seen the radar that's out near Pataskala, that one is the one that's watching all of this right now. So this is going toward the radar and away from the radar. Toward and away, toward and away, toward and away. And so there's your rotation right there. And that is really tight. That is strong rotation. So the potential there for at least funnel clouds is very real, and there is also the potential for that to come to the ground. So here you notice how bright that is. That again is another indication. This could be on the ground or just hanging in the air.
That's what we look for, is what we call a couplet. So the closer those greens and reds are together, that's where we see the potential for rotation, either a funnel cloud or a tornado on the ground. Again, the National Weather Service continues that tornado warning into Licking County until 10:15 p.m. with the potential for some hail, gusty winds on top of that. This is going to be until 10:15. So if you're north of Johnstown, you need to be in your shelter, and if you're in Licking County, you need to be in your shelter. While the rotation may not be near, let's say, you, this storm is still capable of producing heavy rain, lightning, gusty winds, and large hail. We've seen these storms all evening long produce these large hailstones from golf ball sized. Even there was some areas that were warned for almost ping pong sized hailstones. So you can still get damage to your home, whether it be for gusty winds with flying debris around, or of course with the hail. Let's put a track on this for you. It's moving to the east at about 45 miles per hour. Again, Muskingum County, you would be next in line for this as it continues to move into Licking County. So let's put a tracker on this. Again, moving to the east about 45 miles per hour. Again, if you're in Utica, you would be in that path.
So this is going to get you into high water at about 9:39. There's Utica at 9:44. Still tracking toward Black Run and Frazeysburg. Frazeysburg a little after 10 o'clock tonight. And that's going to get you into Licking County. So this is where we're really watching to see if these storms are going to weaken, because if they do, that will be very helpful, and these warnings will be allowed to expire if the storm stops showing signs of rotation. But for now, we are still seeing some very strong rotation in this storm that's moving into northwestern Licking County. So stay weather aware. We will also be watching on a much wider scale for more of these storms to potentially begin to generate rotation. Look what's happening to the south a little bit now. These are some new storms that are really just popping up with all kinds of energy through parts of Fairfield County on over into Perry County. Some of that just to the east of the Buckeye Lake area now, and headed over along the I-70 corridor. Zanesville with some very heavy rain just south of 70. And this storm that is moving through parts of northern Licking County now is likely to be extended into the northern part of Muskingum County. So Dresden and Zanesville included in that. Just had an update come from the National Weather Service. Looks like they may have removed this portion of the tornado warning in Delaware County. Was that it?
Yes.
Yep.
So Delaware is now removed from the tornado warning. Licking County still remains under it, though they're updating the one in Champaign. It doesn't include Miami County anymore, so this is moving through Urbana at the moment. So that was the update.
Pop over there real quick, because what's to our west often ends up right here in Columbus. So let's take a look at the Champaign County storm real quick. This one is making its way toward the east at about 40 miles per hour. That's going to push it through Mechanicsburg and then into northern Madison County, southern Union County. So over the next hour or so, if this continues to generate rotation, the Weather Service will continue to move that tornado warning farther to the east. Right now, Urbana is in line for this one and is about to get, you're seeing all the lightning and the heavy rain at the moment. More of that is likely to move through in the next half hour, 45 minutes. So there's Mechanicsburg. That's going to get you into some of the heart of the storm by the time we get to about 9:54 as it tracks to the east at about 40 miles per hour or so. Milford Center on the northern side of that, and then getting into parts of Madison County, specifically north of I-70, over the next half hour to 45 minutes. Now, that's only if the rotation holds together on this. If the rotation dissipates, the Weather Service will let go of that tornado warning. But the storms we've seen tonight have had a history of holding on to some of this rotation. We got a couple of things happening. So we have what we would call upper level support. So in some cases, the jet stream is in just the right spot that as these storms pass under the jet stream, and they've got that cold front also giving it a little boost, that's going to push that air. So the cold front acts kind of like a bulldozer, and it pushes through the air, pushes the air up. You've got the jet stream then pulling it up, and the combination of the two is enough to create these giant storms with lots of lightning, thunder, hail, gusty outflows, and the potential for some rotation. And that's part of what's happening out there tonight.
And on top of that, not only do we have that lift, we had the instability, the warm air where temperatures, even with those early after those 2-3 p.m. storms that came through the area, the atmosphere it destabilized pretty quickly, and we were in the near 70s again.
In some cases, if you get, say, morning storms,
yes,
the morning storms come through, they leave behind a lot of moisture, we throw some sunshine at it, and then it just explodes in the afternoon. Today, we had storms come through in the afternoon. Now, in a lot of cases, that's enough to just take all the energy out of the atmosphere. They come through, they use the energy, kind of take all the fuel out of the gas tank, and then we're done for the day. Not today. Today, those storms came through and acted more like morning storms, and they added some moisture to the air. They gave us all of that, what we call, nerd term, instability. That just means the air wants to rise. So it's unstable. It wants to go up. So as we get into the afternoon and evening, we've got all of that warm, humid air. It wants to go up. The cold front comes through, gives it an extra kick in the backside. Off it goes, and we end up with these showers and thunderstorms. There's a lot of mechanics that go into this, right? But it all comes down to rising air. When the air starts to rise, that's when we get any of this. And so that's part of what's happening out there tonight is we have all of the right ingredients for the air to just want to go up, much like a beach ball in the pool. You hold it under the water, it wants to pop right back up to the surface. The same thing is happening with the air itself. It's just, instead of rising through the water, it's rising through other parts of the air. And so that rises and creates these showers and thunderstorms. Let's take a look at Licking County again. Let's keep an eye on what's happening over there. So Licking County, you're under a tornado warning until at least 10:15 tonight. That includes Utica. It includes Johnstown. Johnstown, the biggest rotation, is now coming across 62. It is just to your northeast. This is some very strong indication of rotation right here. So we're going toward and away. You notice that it's going in this counterclockwise direction. Low pressure in the northern hemisphere turns counterclockwise. Goes the other way in the southern hemisphere. But here it turns counterclockwise. So that's the specific rotation that we're looking for. If we looked at this and it was going the other direction, don't care. It's fine, because the air is going to sink, and that's less likely to create any problems. But with this, you've got some rotation going counterclockwise, which also acts to pull some of the air up into the storm and can also be indicative of a tornado on the ground. Can you throw the correlation coefficient on that just for fun?
Yes.
This is another way of us looking at the storm that can give us an idea of what's actually on the ground or not. And that Even though it's all red, actually looks pretty good. That's very helpful. It means what you may have out there at the moment, and it's tough to be sure, but what you may have is a funnel cloud that hasn't actually made it to the surface. If it gets to the surface, it creates a debris cloud. Even if it just starts throwing up dust, it starts picking it all up, and it makes a debris cloud. Radar can see that, and the dirt and the dust and the debris are not the same on radar as the rain and the hail. And so you use the algorithm to figure out, are these the same or different? Well, one of these things is not like the other. Mm-hmm. And when we see that they're not the same, that's when we get the idea that there's an actual debris cloud out there. So for now, this is actually showing rotation, but it may or may not be on the ground. You still need to be on your way to your safe space. Utica, this is likely moving at least just to your south, but still worth being in the basement, in the storm shelter, if you've got a closet that is your safe space, because you've thought about it ahead of time, make sure you go there for now. St. Louisville by 9:50 tonight. You're into Frampton by 10:05, and by then we are headed over toward parts of Coshocton and Muskingum counties. Frazeysburg by about 12 after 10. So as this storm continues to march to the east, if it continues to show signs of rotation, we will still have that tornado warning in place. All of this today has been associated with a big low pressure center that's been moving through the area. It came from way out west, and it's been tracking across the country the last few days. As it was getting into Ohio, it was mainly moving into northwestern Ohio, but it's dragging a cold front behind it. And that is part of what is digging through the state as we speak and is creating these showers and thunderstorms that go from here all the way to St. Louis. Let's take a look at that tornado watch again, because a lot of the area is under a tornado watch until at least midnight tonight. Eastern Ohio is under the tornado watch until 1 o'clock in the morning. Here is the tornado warning that stretches across most of Licking County. You've also got the one out here in Champaign County that, if it holds together, could be extended a little farther east. Give it a few minutes. Let's see what this one does. There's no guarantee on that. We've already had reports of damage out in parts of of Logan County and into Auglaize County. We've seen the potential for some damage in Mercer County as well. So a lot of this has been associated with a couple of the same cells that have been moving through here with that rotation. Look at the lightning on this. So thousands of lightning strikes happening, just a continuous light show across the area. Okay, here we go. So this is where we have, and these are preliminary reports of tornadoes and funnel clouds. So from the northwestern portion of Logan County, a tornado report there. Here's the one out near Grand Lake St. Mary's. Another one out to the west, closer into parts of Mercer County. You get up here southeast of Findlay, another one there. Here's the actual report on it. The EMA reporting a large tornado that was on the ground near 33 on the Auglaize-Mercer County line at around 7:08. This one, multiple buildings destroyed. Again, in the Lakeview area. A couple of funnel clouds up near Seneca County. Then most of what came through the middle of Wyandotte and Crawford counties did not get a report. That doesn't mean that there weren't tornadoes, but it means that they haven't been reported yet. Click on this one up here near Willard, because there's a tornado report there near Plymouth. Fire department reporting a half-mile wide tornado coming across 103 near the Crawford County line. So that has been relayed by emergency management. Those are trained spotters. So a half-mile wide. So this is part of the reason why these tornado warnings are issued ahead of time, because the idea is right now, for example, in Licking County, we know this storm has rotation. Even if the storm itself has not produced a tornado, it's just showing rotation, it can produce a tornado very quickly, and that's why this gives you time to get to your safe space. Anywhere from Newark on up into Utica and over into the far eastern parts of Licking County, get to your safe space now. If you have family or friends that are that direction, Call them. Tell them this is coming your way. Tell them to go to their safe space. And you can stay with us even while you're in your safe space because you can take the ABC6 weather app or abc6onyourside.com. You can call up the browser on your phone. That's the way I did it the other night. Well, it actually works in both the app and on your browser, but whichever works for you. If you get in there, you can see the live stream, and that way we can still help you while you're underground or while you're in that protected space.
I do want to note with that tornado, the tornado-warned storm, the lightning has dropped a bit.
That's very interesting.
So there's still, you can see a hail core with it, but I think it's a good sign that the lightning count is starting to drop. Because usually when lightning count starts to drop, that's some type of sign that either it's weakening or it may be cycling, and so that's something to watch.
Put the 3D split on that.
Yes.
Let's see if that's actually weakening right now. So what we're going to do is draw a line through the middle of this storm, and that's going to put it up into 3D mode, which will give us an idea of how tall the storm is and what may be happening in the storm. If you remember a little while ago, these storms were still beyond 40,000 feet with a huge hail core in them. Right now, we're a little bit less than that. So 40,000 feet is this line right here. Thank goodness they're not at 60,000 feet, right? Because those are huge storms. This is 40,000, but it's still above where most jets fly. They're usually between 30 and 35,000 feet. This is up near 40, and so there's still a very tall portion of this storm, but you notice the hail core on it is not as strong as it was, but there is still this huge updraft happening in the middle of this storm. So it's still got lots of energy. It's still pulling up into this part of the storm that can generate the hail, the gusty winds. It can even produce that rotation. So that's why these are some particularly, in fact, that's a phrase that the National Weather Service has issued with some of these yikes storms. Look at that. So now you're looking at St. Louisville. St. Louisville and south of Utica, safe space right now. Don't hesitate. Grab the pets, grab whoever you need to take with you, and go to your safe space. There's your rotation right there. Now, good news is it's a little broader than it was earlier. So that's still very helpful, but the rotation is in the St. Louisville area, and it'll come across 13 in about the next 5 minutes or so. But it's got very strong winds with it. Notice that update on the radar right there. So that's how quickly these can change. The updates from the radar can show you the next round. Part of what radar does is it's looking at different levels in the clouds. So it starts out very low and it does another pass and it looks up a little bit more. Then it looks up another one and up another one. And so you get an idea of what's happening. That's how we get that 3D picture of what's happening in the clouds, because radar comes by in multiple passes and takes a look at it. Every time we get an update, we also see a little bit more of what's happening with the rotation in these storms. Let's get real tight on this. Here we go.
Let's go to the street.
Yep, down to street level on this one. So St. Louisville is just here to the east. There's not a whole lot showing up on the map out here. You've probably got some county roads out in that direction, but you're going to see this moving farther to the east as it makes its way at about 50 miles per hour. That puts it into St. Louisville in the next few minutes. So anywhere between 6:57 and 13, where those are coming together, you're kind of in the bullseye on this one. And that rotation looking relatively strong at the moment as it comes toward the east. This is a tornado warning. This one lasts until at least 10:15 tonight. This storm has a very good hail core on it. You're likely to see hail of at least an inch in size. You might even have a few areas where that is even a little bit bigger, depending on how many times that hailstone has gone up and down in the cloud. But it's tracking to the east fairly quickly. Utica, you're likely to see some pretty good hail in the next few minutes. It's kind of tracking along 62 right there. So parts of southern Knox County are still involved in some of this, and you may have some issues as this tracks through there. I'm going to move a little bit farther out right now and get this going this way. There we go. So now you're looking at a little more of Licking County. In Newark right now, you've got some pretty good rain. You're probably hearing the thunder from the storm that's just to your north. But as this tracks to the east, this storm, this part of it right here, actually has a little bit more of the rotation, and that's the most dangerous part of this storm for now. It is tracking at about 40 miles an hour or so to the east, and that is going to put the rest of eastern Knox County in the path of it. Let me put a tracker on that so you get a better sense. Flatten it out a little bit.
We do have a report from our Mike McCarthy, north of Marysville, near Broadway and Raymond. They're on the State Route 347. There's been reports of damages and potentially some. It's trying to find some people potentially in damaged homes and making sure that people have gotten out. So we do have reports, again, that's in Union County near Broadway and Raymond.
We've also seen images tonight from Indian Lake, Lakeview. Marshall mentioned that they had the tornado confirmed there. Lakeview is part of Indian Lake, and we've seen several buildings badly damaged there. You showed images earlier, Sarah, of trees stripped of their leaves.
Yes.
And buildings destroyed and badly damaged. So we're getting reports, and we actually have our photojournalist, Teresa Riley, on scene in Lakeview tonight, talking with folks there. Understand that the Indian Lake School has now been, one of the schools has been opened as an emergency shelter. That's been required. EMS is on the scene here right now. And
oh, there's some damage right there.
There's a live picture there right now showing some of the damages.
Is this in North Marysville or Indian Lake? Okay. So this is in Indian Lake, where the National Weather Service did confirm that there potentially was a tornado on the ground by EMA. Again, this was in Indian Lake area. You can see some damage potentially onto a roof of a building there. Both of those buildings right there, structural damage, wow. Windows out. This is why we say, like, you want to be away from those windows. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible with all this flying debris. Again, you can see structural damage to the roof there. Again, if you are in those areas that we have had these tornadic cells, you do not want to venture outside.
Now, mentioning Teresa Riley, our video journalist in the area right now, she was speaking earlier, just a few minutes ago, actually, with the director of the Chamber of Commerce in the Indian Lake area. And here's a quick look at what they had to talk about.
It's pure devastation. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. I recommend staying off the roads. Our Lakeview Municipal Building is demolished. Our laundromat is gone. The old plastics building is just completely demolished. Downtown, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad.
I heard some people were trapped in a mobile home park.
I don't know about that. I just was checking on all of our local businesses and our chamber members, and it's very sad.
Is everybody okay that you know of?
Everybody I know is okay. But I've heard some people are not okay.
Yeah, I heard they're setting up some strategic places and stuff.
Indian Lake just opened. We just got word from the Indian Lake superintendent. It's open for shelter. They don't have power, but they have backup generators. So anybody who's without power or water or food, they're making that a place of sanctuary, and school's canceled for tomorrow. I do know that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That.
It's Amber Fagan, who is the head of the Chamber of Commerce in Lakeview, an area of Indian Lake, talking about the damage there, which is significant tonight, and maybe understating it at this point. It's so preliminary at this point. We're still trying to get a handle on it. Luckily, we have Teresa on the scene there. She'll be getting us updated as well. And the school is going to be open as an emergency shelter here tonight, but there will be, of course, no school tomorrow.
Absolutely, and please be safe, everyone, as you're out there and assessing the damage. If you see down power lines, stay clear away from those. Call 911 if you see any down power lines. Again, just be safe tonight. It's very unfortunate that we're seeing some damage coming out, and I'm sure when we get into tomorrow morning in a good day Columbus and that sun comes up, we really get to assess it when it gets light outside.
It's been such a long track, you know, so many different cells, all sort of oriented west to east along a line north of the Columbus metro area in our northern viewing area, but cell after cell after cell moving through, and it seems fairly slowly too. 50 miles an hour sounds pretty quickly, but this has gone on now for well over 3 hours.
Yes, and it's been oscillating between 50, then dropping down to 40, and then down to 35. So it's been bouncing back and forth. And so as these storms move slower, that just means more time for a tornado or even just the winds itself to cause damage. So
about a half dozen tornadoes, is that the latest count from the National Weather Service confirmed?
Well, it's preliminary. At least we have, what was it, 3 or 4 at least one in the viewing area that was in Indian Lake, and there's a couple more up to the north near Finley.